Hi guys, in this video I'm going to give you the most important tips on how to make your parrot happy at home. But the most obvious first, for this video I am using a text-to-speech tool because my spoken English is not the best. I will illustrate all the tips in this video with examples from my two Caique parrots, Maia and Pan. But not all tips can apply equally to all parrots. For example, when I say that long flight paths are important in your home, this applies more to a macaw than to a Caique parrot, as Caiques climb more and tend to fly short distances and their wingspan is much shorter. They also fly more like bumblebees, less elegantly. If you have any questions or suggestions, just write to me in the comments. Any language is welcome. I will provide subtitles in as many languages as possible in the near future. But now let's get started so that you can make your feathered friends as comfortable as possible. Number 1. Mental health. If your parrot is mentally ill, not all tips will work as they would with a healthy bird. Due to the illness, he will not be able to enjoy the benefits of your facility at all or only partially. Mental illnesses are caused in particular by mistreatment. Single housing is also a form of mistreatment. In Caique parrots, even 3 weeks of solitary confinement can lead to initial psychological damage. A human can never replace a partner. There are, of course, situations in which single housing can no longer be avoided, for example, in the case of infectious viral diseases. A balanced diet is also important for your parrot to keep it mentally healthy as well as physically healthy. Imagine if you only had to eat fast food every day. That's not good for the psyche. On the subject of nutrition, I will link you a YouTube short in the info card about how I corrected my parrot's diet, because I made a really bad mistake at the beginning, which unfortunately many experienced parrot owners also make. A special feature of my Caiques on the subject of nutrition and psyche is the hypoglycemic factor. Due to their high metabolism, they quickly become hypoglycemic. A parrot trainer gave me the tip to feed them sweet fruit 5 minutes before I let them out of the aviary. This had the effect that my birds were much more balanced when they explored my home in a relaxed manner in free flight. I have to say at this point that I live in a one-room apartment with 35 square meters. My Caiques have a large aviary and we all harmonize. Number 2. UV light and color spectrum. Parrots have a higher color spectrum than humans. Unlike us, they can see 4 color spaces: red, yellow, blue, and ultraviolet. You can make it as nice as you like for your animals, but if they can hardly see anything, they will feel uncomfortable. Your room should therefore not only be as bright as possible, you also need to provide the animals with a source of UV light. As window panes filter large parts of this UV radiation, you also need to offer bird lamps that provide this UV light. In addition to good visibility, UV light is also essential for vitamin production in your birds' bodies. As their bodies are covered in feathers, the receptors for this are located on the skin around the eyes. A UV lamp therefore fulfills an important physical factor in addition to providing better vision. In addition, parrots cannot recognize cell phone, PC, and television screens as a continuous stable image. In their eyes, these light sources are twitching, stroboscopic, and stressful surfaces. So make sure that no screens illuminate the cage. Number 3. Many different surfaces. I once spent a long time in a hospital. There were only tiled floors and simple, easy-to-clean furniture. No carpets, wallpaper, or wooden furniture. When I returned home, I was incredibly happy to finally see and feel something other than metal and tiles. So how should a bird that actually lives in the rainforest feel? Offer your animals lots of different surfaces. I have cork, balsa wood, ropes, sharpening rods, woven fabrics such as towels and carpet, leather, stone, metal, etc. A parrot has more nerve cells in its beak than a human has in a finger. Tactile perception of the environment by nibbling on objects is therefore very important. When your parrot approaches something with its beak, it is as if it is stretching out its finger. The stimuli of different surfaces and their daily discovery is therefore very important for your pet's psyche. Number 4. Eye level and many places to retreat. In addition to their cage, offer your parrots several fixed places outside their cage. These places are generally known as playgrounds, but they should not only serve as a playground, but also as a place of retreat. Your animals should have several access points outside the cage where they can spend time undisturbed. It is therefore particularly important that both the cage and each of the retreats cover at least the height of the eye level of the tallest person present. This means that if the tallest person living in the home is standing in front of the cage or retreat, the bird must have at least one seat that allows it to sit at eye level with this person and look down on them. At best, The bird should be able to sit higher up than the human can reach. A play area on your windowsill is therefore not a place of retreat, as the animal always has to look up at you from below. Rods with suction cups have worked well for me here. I have attached these to the window pane so that the animals can fly over my head and look out. Above my aviary, I have created seating options up to just below the ceiling so that my animals can easily sit up to 3 meters high. My aviary itself is 1.80 meters high. Another retreat is in my indoor greenhouse where my carnivorous plants grow. The animals sit there at a height of over 2 meters and can also retreat into a corner. When choosing a location for the cage and retreat, it is also important that the animals have an overview of the room. They should also always be able to observe all entrances to the room. Birds are flight animals, so allow them to act out their skepticism towards their surroundings. The locations must be free from draughts and meet the light requirements of your animals. They should also not be in the middle of the room. At least one side should be covered by a room wall. When setting up the retreats, also make sure that the birds have a clear view of the other retreats from their retreat so that they can always plan their approach or escape. Depending on which parrots you have, you may need to consider flight routes. My retreats form the corners of an imaginary triangle. No matter where my birds sit, they can always see 2 escape points and fly directly to them. Having this option in mind will reassure your animals and make them more open-minded. In order for a retreat to be considered as such, you must of course respect the privacy of your animals. When my animals are sitting in a retreat, I don't force them in these places. I don't grab them and I don't force them to come to my hand. There is another special feature for Caiques here too. They sleep in tree hollows, and so you have to offer a sleeping box. This is of course also an inviolable place. If you want to know more about the sleeping cave, click on the info card now. There I have documented the sleeping behavior of my Caiques with a hidden camera. Number 5. A no is a no. First of all, teach your animals that they can say no. An animal that knows that it can escape an unpleasant situation at any time and even has several retreats where it is untouchable, well, this animal will be much more open to new situations. Imagine that a friend invites you to go bungee jumping with him in a few days. Now imagine 2 variations of this situation. In the first variant, you have to jump, no matter what, as soon as you have agreed to go with your friend. In the second variant, you have the choice of canceling and not jumping until the very end. Now ask yourself, in which of the 2 variants is it more likely that you will agree to go with your friend? Number 6. Bathing and splashing high up. My Caiques love to bath. But no matter when I offered them a bath, they never took it. Instead, they went for a bath in their much too small drinking bowl. So what had happened? Well, the drinking bowl was placed at a height of about 1.70 meters in the safe aviary. The bathing options I offered, however, were either on the floor, on the table, or at the sink. Far too deep for the 2 of them. So I installed a bathtub high up inside the aviary. This bath was immediately and enthusiastically accepted by my parrots. After a water bath, my parrots are also always much more balanced and peaceful. Number 7. Shredding and destroying. Offer your parrot shredding toys and destruction opportunities for daily exercise. Many different surfaces and materials should be offered here. Your home will of course still suffer from the beaks. The pictures speak for themselves.
9. Ah.
I would definitely recommend getting plants that your parrots can play with. I have a banana palm, a pachira, gollywog, a kentia palm, herbs, and another palm. Some parrots like it when the plants block the view into the cage as it gives them a secure feeling of cover. Here too, the details depend on the type of parrot. Number 8. Learn their routine. Get to know your parrot's daily rhythm and respect it. This will be good for their mental health and increase their willingness to engage with their environment. For example, when your animals are taking a nap, you should not necessarily start the vacuum cleaner. Try to find a daily harmony with your roommates. Number 9. Learn the parrot language. Parrots have a diverse language and also communicate with humans through their sounds. Try to identify the most important sounds and learn their meaning. It is important to remember that parrots have absolute hearing. This means that a sound that always sounds the same to you will sound completely different in a parrot's ear and has therefore not the same meaning. Therefore, observe your animals very closely. By learning to identify the most important sounds, you can adapt to your animals more easily. And let's be honest, it's important to know whether your parrot makes the sound for go away or I want a bath. With my Caiques, these two things are very close to each other in terms of sound, and yet they mean completely different things. I can now hear when my Caiques are asking for a water bath, wanting a cuddle, or insult other birds outside the window. This is also how I found out that my two Caiques love the splashing of water. Even if they don't want to take a bath, they just love the sound of the splashing. So I bought an indoor fountain. Whenever the water splashes, they are much more balanced. Another example is the explorer sound. Listen for yourself. Whenever I hear these noises, I know that nothing in my home is safe. Conversely, I can also rely on having peace and quiet when I don't hear the sound. So I know when I need to keep a close eye on them. Number 10. Bird is not bird. Not all birds can be kept together. Caiques, for example, are territorial and tend to behave aggressively towards any other bird. Budgies, on the other hand, are nomadic and therefore tend to harmonize with other birds. The size of the animals also plays a role. Keeping a budgie together with a macaw is not a good idea. The larger animal will frighten the smaller one and easily mutilate it in the event of a fight. Bonus tip. Your parrots can hear ultrasound. This means that if you use a water vaporizer to keep the room humidity high for your animals, do not use ultrasonic vaporizers. The animals will hear the device and will be stressed by it. Imagine hearing a beeping sound all day long? For example, who doesn't mind a smoke detector that beeps all the time because of a dead battery? But other ultrasonic devices can also be problematic. For example, garden devices for repelling rodents such as martins, mice, or rats. So try to identify such devices and keep them away from your pet. I hope I have been able to help you with these tips. Let me know in the comments if you have any other tips for keeping your parrot comfortable. Did you particularly like any of my tips, or do you have a different opinion? Be sure to let me know in the comments.